Hey there, business owners and entrepreneurs. You've landed on The Marketing Corner, brought to you by CS Design Studios. Every week, we serve up essential insider tips and powerful strategies to elevate your brand. So, let's level up your marketing game. Stay sharp, stay tuned, and let's kickstart your path to marketing excellence. Right here, right now. Your adventure begins.
Wyatt, had you heard that introduction yet?
I have not, man. That's pretty darn cool. Did we go to Europe to film that?
I did.
I did. The audio on that?
That's actually Lily in her English accent.
Oh, yeah, man. Anytime you hear the English accent, it just sounds like, oh, they're just got to be smart.
Yeah. Lily and I were doing some research from the Seven Figure Agency resources on podcasts.
Okay.
And we're about halfway through the presentation, Wyatt, and then somebody did something like that, and we put everything down. We searched on Fiverr and found this phenomenal woman that does these. And she did the whole intro and everything. So wait till you hear the outro.
Oh, I can't wait.
Super cool.
You guys have really set the bar.
Super cool.
You guys have set the bar.
My son and I, Jacob, every time we talk to each other, we do the the English accent now.
Yeah.
He's all, Dad, you're such a cool entrepreneur.
Oh, great.
So I've
awesome.
been waiting forever to get you on. So
okay.
Because we've been hiding this from you.
Okay. That's next level, man. You know what'd be funny is if she was AI. What if
sounds a little AI-ish.
Some little kid in the basement just typing in new tech.
That'd be hilarious.
That would be hilarious. She's AI. I'm not convinced. I got to meet her in person.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, she had a ton of 5-star reviews on Fiverr. And just phenomenal. So
Fiverr's great. I think one of the coaches actually at the U of A.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you know this, Lily, but one of the coaches that you have over there are educators. Works at Fiverr.
Wow.
Like
really?
High up the food chain.
The more you know.
That's cool.
High up the food chain of Fiverr.
Yeah.
Cool.
Speaking of which, Lily, how did your first day of class go?
It was really good. Yeah, I had my first live class last night. It was very good. Got to meet our mentor, and he's very nice, very knowledgeable. And then I got to talk with a lot of the people in there. It's pretty cool because I think I'm by far the youngest.
Yeah.
So I get to learn a lot from different people, different generations. So lots of different knowledge.
Do you want to share your Blockbuster story here in 60 seconds or less? Or
Yes. Okay. So they were going to put us in breakout rooms in our Zoom, and they told us we're going to discuss a question, and it's why did Netflix outlive Blockbuster? And I'm like, because I've never even been to a Blockbuster. I don't know what
that's
I've heard
Yeah.
of it, but
Yeah.
that's the extent of my knowledge of Blockbuster. And so when I get into my breakout room, the first thing I say is, I'm not going to be very much help in this conversation because I barely know what Blockbuster is. And they were all like, what? Because they were like 30. And they were like, that's all we used to do.
They're old, man.
Not old, just way older than me. And so I was like, ooh. So I was just listening, but I did learn what Blockbuster was and that Netflix used to mail you movies.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So
Yeah, and just that progress, and that's kind of the theme of today, right? I mean,
Yep.
and I was telling Lily this, it's when I was in college, I wrote a report on Blockbuster and why I thought it was going to demise. And back then, Blockbusters were on, I mean, how many Blockbusters were in town in the mid-90s? About 10, 20.
Yeah, there were a lot of them.
They were everywhere,
Yeah.
just like Mattress Firm is today, right? They were everywhere.
I still remember the VHS tapes that said,
Yeah.
be kind, rewind.
Be kind, rewind. Yeah. I know that doesn't mean anything to you, Lily, but...
Well, it was in the days of AOL dial-up,
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
good
So
stuff.
it's one of those things where I wrote a paper stating that Blockbuster is great and everything, but it's going to need to keep up with the times. And CDs are kind of barely coming out now, and I kind of, I wasn't a genius or anything about forecasts. What do movies come on these? They're going to have to, up their game. And I got a very low grade on this paper, actually, because my professor thought I was just full of it. Thought I didn't know what I was talking about, right? But the theme to go along with that, you actually introduced our show really nicely, Lily. Thank you. Is about trends.
Trends, yeah.
It's about trends, right? And, we're in such a fast world today, right? I mean, Wyatt and I are old enough to where it's like we went from, well, maybe I'm a little bit older than you, but with 8 tracks. Remember 8 tracks?
No.
Yeah,
Shawn. No, I'm joking.
they were before cassette tapes.
They were. I remember them. Yeah.
They're like cassette tapes on steroids, basically, right? They're huge. When you clunk them in the car, and they would play, before cassettes. And then there's cassettes and et cetera, et cetera. But time's moving so quickly today. I mean, any music we want, we could just listen to it right now on our phones. Right now.
Yeah.
Whatever song we want. First thing I do when I come in the morning, hey, Siri, and whatever song it's such a phenomenally fast-moving world today, but if we narrow it down to the next 12 months, you and I are going to be doing a podcast this time next year. What are some of the things that you think are going to happen from now until next year, Wyatt, for 2024?
We're going to see AI to continue being integrated into people's businesses, right? It's one of those things where it's here, it's happening.
Right.
And if you don't figure out a way to harness it and utilize it in your business on a daily basis, I'm not talking once a week or once a month.
Yeah.
You're going to get left behind, especially in marketing. So it's time for you to pick it up and not just hear what the buzz is, but actually start using it. I'll tell you a real world example. I got a text from my brother, and he goes, "Hey, I want you to ask AI to come up with a superhero name for your dog." And then he proceeded to give me the inputs. Okay, the inputs are the questions that you ask AI, and it came up with a hilarious name for my dog. And so I use that as training because, if we see something funny or an application, there's a connection with it. We don't have to be afraid of it. We just have to utilize it. And in marketing, we're starting to do or utilize these prompts. Okay, all a prompt is what question you are. You're going to ask it to pull out what you need. Like I was using it this morning, and one of my clients, I said, "Hey, when people are on your website, they want answers to questions. So you can ask or prompt the AI and just go, hey, what is the top 10 questions people are asking about landscaping today? And not only do I want you to give me the question, give me the answer."
Yeah.
And so we get the prompt, we get the answers, and now we're going to take that and convert it into videos.
Wow.
You see how now there is an SEO strategy, right? We're going to create content. We have the question, we have the answer. Now we just need the person to deliver it that has authority.
Right. And with, you and I use it pretty much on a daily basis. I'm using ChatGPT on a daily basis. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Wyatt, if you and I put in the word for word the exact same prompt, it's going to give me more of a tailored to my voice and what I've researched prior to, and yours would be a little bit different. You know what I mean?
That's what's nice about it is, there's used to be this fear that, if I use AI for SEO, for example, we're going to get penalized for duplicate content. Not anymore. Yeah, that's not happening. We've got a lot of stuff always going in the innovation side of the island. And we already have proof that AI articles, without even any edits to them, are in some cases outranking on a national level.
Right.
And I've seen this on more than one occasion. So in our lab, sometimes you hear people that love to generate fear and job security. We don't have to worry about that.
No.
Now I'll say when you ask or you prompt for an answer, take the time to read through it.
Right.
Make sure it's in harmony with your business, because you don't want it to pull together an answer that it's not something that's relatable.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I'm pretty transparent on a weekly basis. I write an article on LinkedIn. I use ChatGPT.
Sure.
And I go through and I customize it, personalize it, and I have a new article that comes out every single week. And it really is about something that I'm at that time passionate about or I'm concerned about.
Yeah.
And I'd spend time in the prompt, but I also spend not a lot of time, but some time customizing it and just kind of fine tuning that article.
Yeah.
So no one's ever, called me out, so to speak, but the amount of engagement and the response that I'm getting from these articles is tremendous.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's great. I mean, it's great. And I think that there's so much value to it because you've built this audience on LinkedIn.
Right.
You got like over 10,000 followers
Close
now.
to 10. Close to 10.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot.
95, 9,600. That's
But, I think that there's just a lot of value there on what you're providing to that audience that is following. I'll just say that for businesses that are on this podcast right now, you can start asking questions you've never even thought about. For example, when you're in business, you need an attorney. You need a CPA. You need a marketing expert.
Right.
And it's nice to just be able to bounce ideas off. I was recently doing some research, and before I call my attorney, I want to know at least a little bit about the question. So I asked about it, and it came back with a lot of good information and even ideas that I didn't even know about, which I can now bring up to my attorney. Hey, can we take advantage of this? Can we do it this way? I do think that even in the medical side, when somebody's having symptoms, how many people like to wait to just tell somebody their symptoms when you could already do that and have access to this huge library?
Yeah.
It's going to come back. Not that we're going to use it for diagnosis, but man, it sure helps cut down through some of the garbage.
Yeah. I kind of look at ChatGPT as my own personal assistant now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think if you look at utilize it as a resource like that, I mean, it's going to help you just magnify your efforts and magnify how efficient you are.
Absolutely.
I know I'm getting more work done today than I ever have, and a lot of it's because of ChatGPT, because AI. And there's so many AI resources built into everything we use.
Yeah.
It's in Heyorka, it's in Canva, it's in everything.
Yes.
It's almost as if you have software or resource and you don't have AI, then you're behind the times on your own product.
Yeah. So to get ahead of the curve, I'll just say everybody should have websites for their businesses, right? Let's just say that you break it down into your service pages. On each service that you offer, there's always going to be frequently asked questions. Remember what Google's primary function was to give people answers. And it's going to give answers based on what are called search engine results pages, SERPs. It'll pull up, here's a SERP that talks about that. Here's a SERP. Well, now we're going to go to AI and ask the question, and it's going to gather that intel, not just from your website, but from others.
Right.
Now, one thing that is still going to be king is content.
Yeah.
So like what we're doing right now, doing podcasts, think about doing a podcast for your business.
Yeah.
Think about answering those questions with video.
Yeah.
And on all your service pages, come up with the top 10, top 25 answers. Oh, and here's a power tip. Put it on Google Business Profile, because there's a Q&A section on Google Business Profile.
Yep.
And you'll notice a burst in your visibility.
Yeah.
If you're putting answers to questions that people are frequently asking.
Yeah.
Use the same questions there as you are on your website and your service pages.
Yeah. And, before we get into like ideas between us, what are some other trends to look at? One thing that's not going away is you still got to be consistent.
Oh, yes.
Your output is magnified by the use of our resources today.
Yes.
But you still got to put in the work. I think one thing that people are misled on is like, okay, we got all these resources, but it doesn't mean you could work 20 hours a week now. You should still put in the work, and you still need to kind of stay ahead of the game and continue, the intangibles, all the things that separated you before. AI and all these other resources doesn't give you a license to take days off still, and I think some people are kind of looking at it that way. It's like, well, I'm kind of doing, getting my 40 hours a week in and only, half the time, and still put in the work, still continue to, do the little things that got you there in the first place.
This is a good question for Lily, is how are you working smarter than harder with all these tools that you've seen in the last, couple months?
Working smarter?
Yeah, how do you work smarter? Tell us how you're using AI on some of the social media stuff that you do.
Yeah, so it definitely helps speed up the process, but I think it's also helpful in the time that I am in my journey, because I'm still learning. And so it helps me get the work done a little bit faster, but it also gives me time to be able to learn about what I'm doing and about more resources I can use. So I think it's just helping me manage my time better, because I still have so much more to learn. So I'm able to learn how to get my work done in a little bit shorter amount of time, but also be able to learn more about my career and what I'm doing. So
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So Wyatt, from, you belong to a Visage group.
Yep.
Is there anything in this group that is forecasting, maybe not necessarily in in the tech world, but as entrepreneurs, business owners, is there anything new trendy that's coming up in 2024 that you guys are talking about?
Sure.
Yeah,
I mean, in our Vistas group, we just invited a speaker, educated at MIT, to talk about AI. And man, we got a lot of good, awesome tools. I know we're going to be doing a webinar, I think, for login on AI, and I'm going to invite him and see if he'll do that. But one of the things I pulled out of that is, did you know that there's an encyclopedia of AI tools that are out there right now?
Yeah.
Like one that I'm very interested in is, how do we put a chat bot on a site that's able to learn and now respond, not in this choose your own adventure way that we've seen for years past, right? Chat's been around for a long time.
Right.
But imagine not having to have a real body there. That's what happens with chat on websites is, I need an employee to cover this.
Right.
Now you have artificial intelligence that's able to, I'm going to answer questions.
Yeah. By this time tomorrow, Wyatt, Lily and I are going to have an answer for you. We're not going to reveal it. We're not going to give away all the secret sauce on our podcast.
Oh, we can't do that.
There's some things that we got to keep close to our vest here, but yeah, we are actually going to have something for you to look into tomorrow. Nice. We'll have a finished product for you tomorrow.
Nice. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, we, when you can take like a book, let's just say I took this book, and we'll talk about this in a minute, but if I had this in a PDF version, I could feed it into the robot or the artificial intelligence. It reads this thing. Now it has the knowledge.
Yeah.
Now imagine that just night and day. What kind of access we have to getting questions answered. Imagine start doing comparisons. Like, what if you want to know the difference between Bing and Google advertising now?
Yeah.
What's the difference between doing Facebook advertising and, give me the positives and the negatives.
Right.
And even get more specific. I mean, I just think it's great that we have access to those tools, which, we've all had our cell phones, these smartphones. That's just an extension of our body. I think about Elon talking about that cyber extension that everybody's on. The average phone gets touched like 1,500 times a day.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much, that's how much connectivity. And that's why when we're walking around, sometimes we got our phones upside down here right now.
Right.
So that we can focus on what we're doing. But that gives you a lot of answers and being able to figure out things quickly.
Yeah.
So it's great. As far as the Vistage group, pulling in speakers that are authorities in those spaces. Now, granted, we can go and jump on YouTube and find somebody too.
Right.
But it's nice to be able to ask them questions.
Right.
And I think that, again, kind of like what we were talking about, just the way of how do you utilize the early adopters. That's what we're talking about. Early adoption of this. How can we use this? Did you know that there's an index out there for saying these jobs are highly at risk for being gone tomorrow? For business owners, for ones that are looking to go into fields and not become obsolete, probably need to look at that.
Yeah.
And I think that even for investing or, building other businesses, hey, what's going to be around tomorrow?
Yeah.
We've heard about AI for a long time, but here the application. We see what's going on with Microsoft. The CEO, of OpenAI and all that stuff going on. So a lot of things going on, and we need to be aware.
Yeah, you kind of said something there. It's like what's going to be around tomorrow, and it's not all this quote unquote the sexy stuff that we're talking about. It's still going to be the stuff that all the services, all the trades.
Sure.
I mean, people, I say the younger generation, unfortunately, I think the ones that are willing to embrace a trade are going to make a gazillion dollars before they're 30, 40 years old.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because there's so few people interested in that,
Yeah.
So it's
I'll
interesting.
I'll give my son a prop here.
Yeah.
He showed me a video he edited, 1.6 million views.
Wow.
Wow.
in less than 24 hours.
Yeah.
Let's just put that in proximity. All the videos I've created with CS, not even close.
Yeah.
Now, granted, it's in the electronic arts video game industry where there's a huge audience there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But here we are, not even close of years of having YouTube. I've had a YouTube channel for over 15 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the views in one day surpassed. In one day. So
Yeah.
it's cool to see what ones can do
Yeah.
with their tools and resources. Now, granted, he got a lot of that expertise here, how to produce and edit and put that together,
Yeah.
using the Adobe products. But a lot of that was his skill and ingenuity and understanding of that audience.
Yeah. Maybe one day he'll catch up to Lily's, one of her regular Facebook posts that have 8 million views.
Oh, well, this is great. We're going to have I want to ask right now that we pull the animal experts in here
I know.
for one of our podcasts
Yeah.
because, it's not too often we have a client that's on National Geographic. Is that right?
They were on
Yeah.
Nat Geo. They had their own show back in the day, and
Yeah.
there's
Right in our backyard.
tremendous guys. Yeah.
Right in our backyard. I want him to bring a bobcat in. I just want to play the well, I don't know if I want to play with it, but,
We could do what Johnny Carson and Jay Leno did back in the day, bringing that zoo trainer that bringing the live animals.
yeah,
Remember
exactly.
that?
Yeah, exactly.
Showing my
I
age
don't know
again.
who that
So let's talk about this book. What are the book that we're listening to? You and I?
Yeah, I think I heard about this a while ago and finally found some time to start diving into it based with your encouragement. But 10X is Easier Than 2X by Dan Sullivan. He's the founder of Strategic Coach.
Yeah.
And what happens is for forever, we get in this linear thinking, right? Hey, I'm making X amount per hour. If I want to make twice as much, I'm going to have to work twice as hard.
Right.
I just have to work harder.
Yeah.
So that's what's cool about the title. It says 10X is easier than 2X. How does that become true?
Yeah.
How do you do that? Well, you got to think differently.
Yeah.
You got to think differently and pulling it into get out of the business and work on the business. Now, I've heard that for a long time. We're running EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System, and we do that every week,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Planning, strategic planning. But this, I'm not all the way through it yet. But, man, I'm just really loving what I'm hearing.
It's an interesting listen, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I say
it's-
listen because I don't read the books anymore. I listen to them. But it's very intriguing, and it's a lot of mindset stuff, but it's not the hokey pokey stuff. It's just true factual re-envisioning how you're looking at things.
Well, I'll give you an example. Like it said, you can't focus necessarily on the how as much as the who.
Right.
So a who, for example, for social media, there she is.
Yeah. Yeah.
You did a lot of social media, and now we need to have another resource. So now we bring somebody in that wants opportunity.
Yep.
And man, she's just crushing it. So now we're thinking about long term, and this is one of the things a lot of people don't think is maybe they only see a week away. For people that are business owners and are thinking a little bit farther, they're
Right.
thinking out years
Right.
past the paycheck.
Yeah.
So part of our job is to help people in their careers, thus the education, thus the experience.
Yeah.
We should all be helping each other on a journey.
Yeah. And from what I've listened to from the book, the next who would not necessarily be for myself. It would be for Lily, right?
Yes.
And to
Yes.
give Lily somebody to help her out, which will then kind of flow upwards for everybody.
And I think we all know what a micromanager is.
Oh, yeah.
No one likes a micromanager,
Yeah.
right? Let's
Yeah.
just micro the death out of you. I'm just like, hey, why
Yeah.
don't you just do it?
Yeah.
Why are you microing me?
Yeah.
And what I like about the 10X aspect is put self-managing people in place.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't have to go in there and it's other than being encouraging and providing the tools,
Yeah.
I'm not having to do somebody else's job. They're doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. And if any one of us falls down, we fall forward, right?
Yes.
That there are.
Yeah.
I made a little deal with a friend of mine the other day on LinkedIn. We were talking about how many mistakes are we going to make next year? We're dead set on making mistakes next year.
Oh, you got to risk.
Yeah.
And you got to make mistakes.
Yeah. And then that's from the premise that we're going to go full force, and we're not going to be perfect. That's fine. But as long as we learn from those mistakes and move forward from the mistakes, it's fine. I'd rather make a ton of mistakes in 2024 than just sit back and be exactly where I'm at this, because I didn't do enough.
One of the things with the entrepreneurial operating system is a good business can be able to predict where they're going to be revenue-wise out. And we've been able to do that in the upper 95 percentile for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Now, but I will still tell you that it's a lot of 2X thinking. So one of the things to shift into a 10X, and the reason why you hear 10X a lot, right? I think I've heard that, but no methods.
Right.
10X that doesn't mean you have to work 10 times as hard, right?
Yeah.
Everybody just gets tired and falls over. That's not what it's about. We got to think outside the box. And I think one of the things that was really identifying with Dan's book here is, hey, what is really moving the needle with your business? Seven-figure agency, we've talked about that, and we're a part of that, is let's niche down.
Right.
And one of the things that we're going to do in 2024 is we're niching down in a category where we could really excel. And that's pest control marketing. Yeah.
So, Lily, we'll start with you to wrap up this podcast. You always like when I do that, huh?
Love it.
I'm a true believer of if you say you're going to do something and you tell the world you're going to do it, you hold yourself a little more accountable. You know what I mean? So whether it's personal, professional, what's a goal for you for 2024? This time next year while we're doing the same podcast, what will you have accomplished?
Oh, I haven't quite gotten to my resolutions yet this year. I like to try to set goals. Well, actually, in my class yesterday, we were learning about setting goals. And one of the things that our mentor said is that if you don't know where you're going, you'll end up somewhere else.
Right.
So that was cool. Okay, let me think about my goals. Well, I want to grow more in what I'm doing. So I want to stay in what I'm doing, but I want to be more confident and grow. So I'm not quite sure yet what that specific goal is going to be, but just definitely learning and growing.
Right. So maybe what we should do is you should set like a set amount of resources or books that you're going to listen to. Maybe between Wyatt, myself, and Tyson and Michael, we could each recommend 2 books
great.
each.
That's
Yeah,
great.
that would be awesome.
You know what I mean? We could each these are 2 books, whether it's to do with business or not. I got a few for you, I think.
Sure.
Perfect.
Yeah. And then just listen, and it'll kind of help in your development.
Yeah.
And I do think it's so important.
We just set our goal for
I think what's great is, she has a goal that she wants to accomplish, and we are going to supply what we know to help. And that's the fun part. There's joy from our standpoint to be on that journey with you. And I think that as you're working in this field, and one of the things that's even on our VTO, our business plan,
Right.
Why did I start this business to begin with? It's to help other businesses grow.
Yeah.
So the only way I can help other businesses grow is if I grow. We've grown. And as 2024 is almost upon us, we have to grow in a lot of different ways. I think we have the biggest shift happening in marketing that we will see. This is like a leap.
There are so many things that are on our plates for this month alone.
This is
to
a
prepare
leap.
ourselves. It's we could talk another 5 hours on that.
Well, what's nice is we have the resources,
Right.
the peer group,
Right.
the business acumen to really kill it this year. And I'm looking forward to seeing, I wish I could jump 12 months ahead and see where everybody's going to be, but it's going to ultimately fall on our own,
Right.
on our own. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
And we're going to do some big things this year.
Your next, Wyatt, personal, professional, either one.
Sure. I think, one of the biggest challenges that visionaries have is being consistent.
Yeah.
One quality I really admire about both you guys is your consistency in some of the things that you do. So I admire that. I'm going to have to work hard at it. Where there are some things I'm consistent with, but there's some things that I want to excel in.
It kind of goes to that book. There's 20% of stuff out there
Yes.
that or no, 80% of it, actually. 80% of the stuff out there that distracts you from that 20% you need to work on.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
there's a book called The Essentialist that I listened to, actually. Made so much sense. You have to cut through the garbage. Same thing here. There's a lot of stuff that just keep our attention.
Right.
That is
Right.
the most important thing. Where
Yeah.
do you put your attention and
Yeah.
focus?
Yeah.
So my attention and focus are on things that matter,
Yeah.
and really defining very clearly what matters to Wyatt moving into 2024.
Yeah. And for the record, for the people listening, when Wyatt talks about his consistency, by far, he doesn't talk. It's not a knock on his work ethic. No one works harder than Wyatt Chambers. Period. Right?
I don't know about that.
No, it's true, right? I mean, you and I are texting or calling each other at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night sometimes, which gets under the skin of other people because they're like, you guys need to rest, right? But it's just the way we're wired, right?
Yeah.
But when you stated that, by far, it's not your drive or anything like that.
No.
I mean, yeah.
No, I think just I admired the discipline some people have with, and again, I think going back to the who, surrounding yourself with the who,
Right.
that are better than you.
Yeah.
I love it when somebody's
Right,
better than me
right.
At certain pieces, and
Yeah.
it's just that's
Yeah.
great. That's
Yeah.
what I needed. That's
Right.
what we need as a group.
That's what we all need.
So
you
what
know?
about yourself, Shawn? Where are you going 24?
It's all a catalyst, and it's always been one thing that's always kind of been a part of my life, and I want to work on a few of the metrics on my health. If that's in place, everything else is easy for me. I
That's
have
huge.
sharper focus. I have more energy. Everything else falls into place.
Awesome.
And I'm just more confident that I can accomplish my everything else if physically I'm doing really, really well. I'm not too upset where I'm at now, but I know I could be a little bit better, right?
Yes.
And I know during the holiday season, there's some leeway for that. I don't want to be too strict on, my diet right now, but I know like if I can control my diet and my regimen and be at a certain weight and a certain, composition, everything else falls into place. So getting back into a very, very strict routine in the mornings sets the stage for everything else. If I could do that 5 days a week, what's set me back before was that I was doing, I'm on my 53rd day of doing 10K. Then I would go for the next 3 months hurt and broke because, my knees, my foot, and, everything, and I couldn't get out. I think just a few months ago when I was, sick for those few weeks, it's because I pushed myself too much, too hard. And I
worked
didn't
yourself down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got to find that balance of working out 4 to 5 times a week, getting my rest. But when I'm there, everything else is easy for me.
Yes.
I'm able to focus, more. I'm able to do a few more hours at work every day. And, but it's one of those things where I can't overdo it. I got to find that balance.
I'm with you.
So that's my biggest goal. If I do that, this time next year, I'll be
Easy.
Yeah.
Easy.
Easy peasy. All right. Well, Wyatt has not heard the outro yet. So before we do that, thanks everybody. Thank you, Lily. Thank you, Wyatt. And this is another great podcast. If you're not watching us on YouTube, you can catch up us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. And if you have any questions or comments below, if you need any assistance in reaching your goals for 2024, always reach out to any of the three of us. We'd be happy to help. Take us away, Lily.
And that's a wrap on today's Marketing Corner with CS Design Studios. Remember, the journey to greatness is non-stop. Harness today's insights and let them fuel your ambitions. Big thanks to our community of go-getters and visionaries. And remember to subscribe and activate alerts to stay connected for more transformative ideas. Till next time, keep reaching for the stars.
That's great.